I had just got, I think when I broke my foot on stage, and I think I got like 4 out of 5 stars for that show. I was like, what more do I have to do?
Bones are being broken.
I literally bled all over the stage. People were like mopping it up, and I finished the fucking show. I came out.
I want to start with how this album came to life. And I know this story of the album starts with your last tour for Dance Fever. Can you tell me about kind of going into that tour and how you left as a different person after it?
I guess in a way, like Dance Fever was like a record about, it was like a record of like prophecy, and then I guess this record is a record of catastrophe, I think that was a record that dealt with performance as well, and like, the fact that all the performance had been taken away. There was a period when musicians really didn't know if live music would come back. And it had been a record like questioning whether I wanted to keep doing it or whether, would I want to start a family. On that tour, I had a sort of like life and death experience that kind of then led me through into making this record, basically. Dance Fever was a record about like dancing yourself to death. And then I was like, oh, shit. Oh, shit. So, Everybody Scream kind of came out of that experience, and processing that, processing the sort of like strange predictive qualities of songs, wanting to go deeper into magic and mysticism, because I'm like, okay, if shit is coming true, I really need to figure out what's fucking going on here. But it was a place of real exploration, and like, it sort of opened up all these different tendrils of myself, I think, going through something like that.
Had you ever experienced something like that before, where an album or a song had sort of prophesied what came after it, or the experiences that you've had, or was that sort of a new experience for you as a songwriter?
It was never this like literal, I wrote a song called King, which was a questioning and wrestling with whether I wanted to be a mother, and there was a line in it that was like, I never knew my killer would be coming from within. I never knew my killer would be coming from within. I am no mother, I'm a bride, I'm a king. And the thing that nearly killed me was a complication with a pregnancy loss on stage. So it was just never that like on the nose. And so that was, it was kind of like, it's hard to describe it, because in some way it left me with a kind of awe and horror. And I think that that's one of the themes of the record, is a sort of awe at the power of performance and what you can push your body through. You mentioned sort of diving into sort of mysticism and magic and witchcraft. I mean, what brought you to sort of study more of that, and especially being someone who I feel like that witchiness is sort of ascribed to so much of your music and sound? What brought you there for this? I think when something happens in the body, you feel so powerless that I think I was looking for forms of power, and felt very like primal and kind of animal what happened to me. It was very clinical, very sudden, very violent, like absolutely saved my life. Yeah. But, when you have to have emergency surgery, like the lights are so bright, it's so clinical. So there was a sense afterwards that I needed to be near to the earth, I needed to be like near natural things. I needed to be, and I think everywhere you look in terms of stories of like birth and life and death, I just found stories of witchcraft. Like you couldn't look into anything about it and not find these folk tales or find stories of like witches or magic, because it is so unknown, and it is like no one could tell me why this happened to me. Do you know, like no one could tell me why. They were just like, oh, just bad luck. So I think when no one can tell you why, like, I think you're looking to find meaning. I was like looking into like herbs and tonics and things, and like got a literal cauldron of stuff that I'm boiling, and it helped me. I don't know, it helped me kind of come back to myself, I think. Yeah. Also, I think the imagination is a form of escape, and I think to go into these stories and to go into these tales and to imagine a kind of magical world is a form of escaping the body. When you are trapped and you can't control what's happening to your body, what the imagination does, or creating stories or finding myths or mythology, is you are free. You really are free, and you can go anywhere, And so I think it also gave me some kind of freedom that I think had been taken from me. Like, I didn't feel free in my body. And like, my body was a dangerous thing. What had happened to me was because of desire, because of like a bodily experience. And then that was kind of gone, and my body was dangerous, So I think I needed to create mythology and like a world around it to be free almost. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I mean, especially given the timing of experiencing the pregnancy loss was on stage, and while you're performing in front of thousands of people, I mean, having to, as a performer, try to figure out how to navigate that, but also as a human experiencing extreme pain of any kind and trying to understand what's happening. How did you sort of try to figure out what your next move would be in that experience?
It's really painful. And I was in pain, and, what do you do as a woman? You just take some ibuprofen. I just took some ibuprofen and I went to work, And I think there was like, I was in a place that I understood, I was in a place of like bodily power and control, and like I was experiencing a loss. I didn't know it was a dangerous loss, but I was like, I'm going to get through this. And if I can get through this show, at least I haven't lost another thing. And I actually, when I stepped out on that stage, all the pain just like went away. It just went away, and I was free. I was like, okay, and I can do this. That's kind of one of my most intense experiences of that, I think.
Yeah. And I know that you've had sort of a journey with sort of anxiety and performance, and how it's developed over the years. I mean, how did you sort of reach that point where, in a moment of trauma like that, where the stage can finally feel like this place of freedom and catharsis instead of this anxiety-inducing space?
Never been anxious on stage, ever. Anxious everywhere else. Just absolutely everywhere else. Like, anxious in my room, in the house, anxious alone, anxious on the street, like anxious with people I know, anxious with strangers. Like, it is the low hum, constant hum of my life. Yeah. And it almost never goes away. And then I step out on stage and it goes away. It just leaves me. Or movement, or any kind of like singing or moving my body, or what music does for me is it takes away my anxiety. So there is really something there for me, which is why, like, no matter what, I keep going back. It's this thing that I'm navigating, and everybody screams. It's like, oh my God, this crazy stuff keeps happening to me, and yet I return to this place because it is a weirdly peaceful place for me. Yeah.
And did you start working on or writing the album shortly after, or did it take some time to process and then start actually be able to write songs about it?
I'd started making the album already. So I'd written one of the greats, I think, had already been written. Or was the first take had been written, and then it took like a really long time to finish. I'd started already. The first person I started working with was Mark Bowen of the band Idols. And I don't know, when we both had time off from tours, we would just get together and start sketching things out. So this, like, one of the greats had already kind of started to emerge, and then I think maybe we wrote Everybody Scream. But yes, the next thing that happened, like, I think I went straight from the tour to the studio. Like, there was after everything that happened, there was just this, like, need to process it in that way. And I had some trauma therapy afterwards, because you get one free session. You have to pay for the next one, but the first one is free. I had one free session. But she was great. Yeah, she was great. She was great. And she was like, you know, obviously it was a specialist trauma therapist for people who have gone through things that I went through. And she was like, there can be like there can be a need to really fix it immediately and to try again and to try and fix it by trying to have a kid again really quickly. And she was like, the only bit of advice I really can give you is don't try again until you feel like yourself again. And so the only thing that I know how to feel like myself, or where I really feel like myself, is making songs, or that's how I process things that happen to me. So but weirdly, like, I don't really remember. Like, I don't remember the first 6 months of making this record, really. So like, as songs like Witch Dance and songs like You Can Have It All were some of the first, like, really raw ones that were written pretty immediately afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, you know, along with that brutality and some of the, you know, much darker themes to this album, there is so much levity and hope to some of the songs, and there's also a really great sense of humor and
jokes, yeah.
lots and lots of jokes. And one of my favorite songs is Music by Men, and you have one of my favorite lyrical moments, which is breaking my bones, getting 4 out of 5, listening to a song by the 1975. I thought, fuck it, I might as well give Music by Men a try. Before we get into more about that song, but what song were you listening to at the time? The song that made you want to give Music by Men a try.
We're fucking in a car. Da, 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 da. That one.
Is that Love If We Made It?
Controversial thing. What's it fucking called?
Yeah, is it Love If We Made It? Yes,
Love It If We Made It. Love It If We Made It. I was like, this is a pretty good song. This is a really great song. But yeah, I think yeah. I was like, oh, fuck it, I'll try it out, you know. I was like, yeah, this song is really good. It's like, and I think I had just done my. You also, a big thing with songwriting is it's often because it rhymes. Yeah. Okay, so you needed a band that rhymed with 5. Just saying, and I had just got, I think when I broke my foot on stage, and, you know, I think I got like 4 out of 5 stars for that show. I was like, what more do I have to do?
Bones are being broken.
I literally like bled all over the stage. People were like mopping it up, and I finished the fucking show. I came out and I finished the show, and I think like across the board it was like 4 out of 5. It's like, fuck's sake, what now?
And in a sort of similar sense, one of the greats, which is one of the singles, and another kind of song that is just so massive and fantastic. You have the line, "I'll be up there with the men, with the men and the 10 other women and the 100 greatest records of all time. It must be nice to be a man and make boring music just because you can."
I'll be up there with the men and the 10 other women and the 100 greatest records of all time. It must be nice to be a man and make boring music just because we can.
fan, you know? That's it. I'm like, I'm a fan.
My second favorite frontman.
My second favorite frontman. Yes, well, I think it was like, I did, again, like a lot of the lines in there, I was just like, I just found them really funny. Like, I couldn't, it's like, we can't cut, this is just really fucking funny. And yeah, I guess it was like this feeling of, like, when is it going to be good enough? Like, I give so much, and sometimes I wonder if in that giving and in like not having that like almost like masculine cool of like holding stuff back, being obtuse, not saying it all, like what is he saying, you know? That's so cool. What do those lyrics mean? If I keep giving this much, it's just, but also does that mean people aren't taking me seriously, you know? But then sometimes I'm like, when I listen to things that have that like level of like masculine reserve, I'm just like, isn't this kind of boring though? like what are they saying? So I guess that was me being like, but sometimes I wish, you know, I could have, maybe it would be an easier life, you know, to like be able to like hold things back, you know, to be able to just be like hot in a t-shirt and everyone would be like, it's amazing. It's amazing. So cool. Wow. It's like revolutionary, you know? So I'm jealous, you know. Everything, if you're insulting someone, it comes from envy, honestly.
Was it that same concert review or a different moment that sort of spurred you to kind of consider sort of the limitations of how women are perceived in the industry, or kind of who's allowed in the canon? Yeah, you kind of like get all the lists, and there's a sense that they like have the amount of women that they can fill, and they're like, okay, we filled like enough women, you know, we can definitely, we've ticked that box, you know. So it's a sense that like, it's sort of a fear that within, I didn't even really align with my gender, and I still don't know what it fucking means to be a woman. I have no idea. I don't know what that feels like, you know. I don't know, like, I don't like ascribe anything to it particularly. It wasn't something that I felt like I ascribed to my performance or the way that I felt about myself. So it meant that like coming through, I didn't really feel any barriers to me really because of it. And I also didn't realize, you don't realize till you get older that people aren't taking you seriously because you're a young woman. I just thought it because I was annoying. You know, it's just like, oh, this must be me. You know, you don't, it's only like when you see it happening behind you, you know, you look back and you see the same treatment happening over and over again to young women. You're like, wait, I think maybe that wasn't about me, you know. Have you in your career felt underappreciated or underrated as an artist? It's not a sense of being underrated. It's just sometimes you're looking at the wrong people to validate you. Do you know what I mean? You're just like, oh, daddy, like, why don't you love me yet? You know, you're just like looking to the wrong person. And there's like all these people over here who like love it and get it. And there's just like one dude who's like, yeah, I'm not into it. You know, and you're like, do you like this one? He's like, no, never. So I think it's that, like, so I think it's like, you know, there is like a sense that, and then that is also something that you kind of like grow out of, you know, which is really nice, I think, and also like the way that I am appreciated is the only way I would have it. I never wanted to be any more famous than this. This is actually about as much as I can handle. Like any more, it would be very bad. No. So I'm kind of like, eventually through all the work, I sort of got the career I always wanted. You know, I think there was this moment where I think there would have been huge intentions for me to go very mainstream. You know, on Lungs, there was a moment where you could have kind of chosen a different path. And I think that being like that successful or that huge, I knew that literally my psyche wouldn't sustain it. Like, I don't have the kind of brain that can handle that amount of attention. So I think I kept making choices that honestly, like,
took me away from the spotlight and always back to the work, you know, like took my kind of personality out of it and always back to the music. And so sometimes you always think, like, you look at those lists and you're like, oh, I didn't make that list. Yeah. But I also, that is also changing, and I realize that it's meaningless, you know, it really is, which is a nice feeling.
And when you sort of step outside of all the trappings of being a star, of being a rock star on stage and putting out an album, what does your life look like outside of those moments of stepping into your career?
It's really boring. Well, I think that, like, the wilder that my work got, actually, the more, like, that's the thing, isn't it? It's like, be calm in your life so you can be wild in your work. And I think that was really true for me. Like, the calmer my life got, the wilder I could be in my performance styles and in my videos and in my artwork, because it, like, a lot of, like, self-loathing and shame and, like, everything that I was kind of drinking or taking drugs to, like, figure out once I got sober and my life became a lot quieter, I actually found that, like, freedom from a shame means that you can explore so many more different things in your work, and I really found that to be amazing. But yeah, there's a lot of, like, pacing and reading and watching television and kind of being like, well, that's the thing, you're on tour and you're like, I just need to get home, and then I get home and I'm like, there is a beast inside me that needs to come out. Like, I am not meant for this life. I am too big for this house. You know. So it's kind of like, that's the flip side. And then I go on tour and it's like, oh my God, I should have chosen a domestic life. Like, why? And as soon as I get there, I'm like, I need to be free.
One of the first people that you called for this album was James Ford, who also worked on Florence and the Machine's breakthrough hit, Dog Days Are Over. And I'm curious, you know, what do you recall of both the moment of making a song that would end up changing your life, but also what happened in the aftermath of it blowing up?
No one understood it, firstly. Like, no one understood it at all, because I've been making songs like Kiss with a Fist and My Boy Builds Coffins, and I'd basically been recording songs with the sort of South London blues punk band crew, and it was all very guitar-based. And then so this is when we used to record the demos, like, onto CDs. So yeah, I still have the CD. I still have the CD with the original Dog Days demo on it. But really, like, the label that I'd been working with did not understand this demo whatsoever. They were just like, no, where's another Kiss with a Fist? That was fun, like, cute, catchy guitars. No, I was like, no, I'm doing this. And it was like blank face. It's just like, okay. And James Ford just understood it. He was like, no, this is really exciting. I get this. He actually didn't want to work on Kiss of the Fist. He was like, yeah, I don't want to do that one. I want to do Dog Days. And the first thing he did, which is interesting because he also did that with the track Everybody Scream, was he sped it up. So I think it was a couple of BPMs slower, and he sped it up, and me and Izza went to the pub. Okay, good luck with that. So, but he sort of, he sped it up and sort of really helped us make it the song that it became.
Have you had any mentors throughout your career, or heroes become mentors as your career has rolled along?
Nick Cave has been so kind to me. Nick Cave and Susie Cave have just been the most, like, wonderful and kind friends. And, you know, like, I like sent Nick Cave some of my poetry, and he helped me, like, edit some. And, you know, he, like, write him stressed emails from tour, and he would reply and be so kind. And, you know, just as, like, someone who's such a physical performer as well, he sort of, like, just understood what I was putting myself through and was just so, like, he's an incredibly wonderful human being. So yeah, him and Susie as well have just been the most incredible support to me.
And you've been pretty selective with doing collaborations throughout your career, being a featured artist, and one big one, of course, is Florida with Taylor Swift, and I know you're featured in the Eras Tour documentary, according to the trailer to it.
I haven't seen it. I was there though.
Yeah. What do you remember of that song coming together, and why that felt like the perfect collaboration for the two of you?
Yeah, she texted me being like, would you like I'd love to have you in this song. And I went to the studio, and it was just the most, like, the way that she writes songs is kind of like short stories, you know. She had like a whole story around this song and like why she wanted to write it, and the kind of like Florida lore and things like that. And I wanted to bring my own, what I knew of Florida, which is Lauren Groff. One of my favorite short story collections is called Florida, and she's from there. And there's a short story in it called Eye Wall, which is about a woman who barricades herself in a bathroom during a hurricane and is visited by all of the ghosts of her ex-boyfriends. And she's drunk and she's holding a chicken. It's an amazing short story. And I to Taylor, I was like, oh, like, I love this short story collection. Can we like include this? And she was the most open collaborator. She was like, yes, like whatever you want. Do your backing vocals all over it. Like, I want it to be as Florence-y as possible. Like, go for it. I was like, okay, well, I want to bang a drum too. She's like, yes, go for it. And getting to see her construct those harmonies that she does, it was an amazing experience.
On the album, you sang you felt that you were burned down at 36.
Burned down at 36. Why did you dig me up for this?
Do you still feel that way now?
I actually think when I turn 40, I'm going to feel amazing. I really do. It's like when you are edging the decade, you start to feel worse and worse. So I think when I turn 40, I'm going to feel incredibly young again. I think, yeah, I feel like, I just feel like it was such a like desperate like urgency to this record, and to just kind of get it out, because it was such a specific moment in my life. And if I hadn't put this album out now, I don't think I would have ever put it out. Like it is so like tied to this moment of like the age I am, like the experiences I'm having. Like, I think had we had to put it off, like it's really hard making records, and it gets harder. And it's weird. That's weird about making. You get better at it, but it also gets harder. It's very strange. Maybe you care more or you know more. But there's always moments where you think, okay, this record isn't happening. There's always moments where you're like, okay, well, this producer didn't work out, or we can't get this studio, or the time, the none of the timings are working out, and you just think this record is never going to happen. And especially with this one, I was like, well, that will be a different record at another time. This was only for this moment. Had I had more time away from what happened, I would have felt differently about it. Other things would have started happening in my life. This kind of came sort of directly out of an experience that I would have felt differently about in like 3 years.
And with this album coming out on Halloween, first off, why was it, I know you'd mentioned that it was important for you to release it on Halloween specifically. Why did this feel so appropriate for this album?
Because it all rhymed then. All rhymed. Florence and the Machine, Everybody Scream, out on Halloween. Like, it's like it all rhymes. I was so pleased with myself when I was like, Florence and the Machine, Everybody Scream, and then my sister was like, that's not an actual rhyme. I was like, it's a rhythmic rhyme, which is all that matters in songwriting. So yeah, well, I don't know. It was also it's an album apart from it's so much about life and death. I think there is. And, in the old kind of pagan traditions of Halloween, it was about the veil being the thinnest between the living and the dead. So I thought it was kind of the perfect time to put this record out when the veil is thin.
Do you have a costume for Halloween?
I'm slightly always in a costume, so I don't need to dress up, you know. But yeah, I think it'll just be like this, but like extra. So.
Well, thank you so much, Florence. Everyone, please give another round of applause for Florence Welch.